What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in today. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out as we start off every video to my man Cuddy Eats. Again, that's YouTube, Cuddy Eats. Checking out all of your fast food recommendations, giving you an update on the newest items to hit, and giving you some entertainment while doing so. So, highly recommend. Check him out. Like I said last week, just past 100 episodes. Usually does something special for the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and stuff like that. Those are right around the corner, so just keep an eye out for those. Be sure to give them a like, comment on the videos, tell them some other things you'd like to see them do. Subscribe if you like them, and tell all your friends. Even if you don't watch the channel, just tell them to go watch it and get the boy some exposure. So before we jump into it, I'm going to try to keep this quick. So my videos have been really long all year. The latest ones haven't gotten many views. I think most of you guys just don't have enough time to watch a 30-minute video, so we're going to try to keep it nice and short. So I'm just going to breeze through it. I'm going to do power rankings every 2 weeks, so there will not be an update at this time, but I will update that for the next episode. So in addition, when I'm doing my predictions, so a lot of people haven't set their lineups before Thursday. I know, I do that a lot of times as well. But it does make it kind of difficult to project out for power ranking. So going to go ahead and do my picks. I like to get them out before the Thursday night game, but just keep that in mind. So if we look at it just really quickly going through, I picked myself to beat Cole, Logan to beat Matt. Both of those were correct. Down here, picked Dustin to beat Thomas, Brandon to beat Jeremy. Again, correct on those. And I picked Clint to beat Daniel, so that was a miss. And I picked Blake to beat John. So that brings me to 5-1 for the week and an overall record of 25-11. So let's get rid of this stuff that shouldn't be on there. All right, so 25-11. And let's just look at each of these matchups and some things that were kind of the catalyst for what happened. So first game is me versus Cole. The obvious ones here: Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp. Both Tennessee and Cincinnati just decided not to cover these guys, even though they've been monsters all week. So that's absolutely what carried me to the win. Good news for Cole: Kenny Golladay, big points. Everybody else, though, pretty modest. Tennessee defense continuing to be strong, but otherwise nothing overly surprising. Next matchup was Logan Matt. Very high scoring. Unfortunate loss for Matt. He would have beaten a lot of other people had he not been playing Logan this week. So actually, I think he would have only lost to myself, Blake, Dustin, and Logan. So like the top people in the league. So that's pretty unfortunate. But Tevin Coleman, big surprise from San Francisco. I expect him to see a lot more of the ball, which will be good for Matt's team moving forward. 36.8 points, 4 total touchdowns. On the flip side for Logan, Aaron Jones, 38 points. He needed to kind of come from behind to catch up to Matt going into that Monday night game, and Aaron Jones did way more than he needed to get him the win. Also, the 49ers defense made Carolina look like a high school team, so that was hard to watch. Down here, also some things to pay attention to. So Latavius Murray had 32 points. I think that's a bit of an anomaly. I don't expect that to be the case moving forward every week. But something that was very exciting for Matt was Drew Brees, 31 points in his return. I didn't expect to see him before the bye week, but yeah, definitely something to be aware of moving forward. Looking at Dustin versus Thomas, so this is, again, 2 of the top teams in the league. Christian McCaffrey, monster as always. Nothing super surprising from Thomas's team except for this. Kyler Murray not getting it done at quarterback. That's always going to hurt you. Left Miles Sanders on the bench. Not that I think that was a bad decision. Obviously, it just didn't work out. 21 points from there. For Dustin, Aaron Rodgers, 33 points. He's kind of been on a monster lately, so I definitely think Aaron Rodgers has finally gotten things figured out on offense. Vikings D, 20 points. Washington was a great matchup. That really helped Dustin out for his team. So, good win for Dustin over one of the stronger teams. Looking at Brandon Jeremy, this was a really close game all the way through the Monday night game. I said Monday night earlier when I was talking about the Packers-Chiefs. I meant Sunday night. The Monday night game was Miami-Steelers, and the Steelers really put up a lot of points for Brandon to bring him the win. So I think he was down like 50 going into Monday night, and he had Mason Rudolph, James Conner, and the Steelers all put up over 20 points, which was really helpful. Nothing other than that, nothing super outlandish, except Derek Carr had a really, really monster day in a loss against Houston. So hopefully Oakland can do something moving forward for Jeremy. The loser game of the week, Clint versus Daniel. We've got another one this week. Clint didn't even set his lineup, so not really anything to talk about here. Jags defense, 29 points. That's awesome. Great for these guys. I don't even know if they care anymore. And then Blake versus John. Blake's team is just destroying people. The freaking Patriots defense scores a touchdown like every week, I feel like. They've scored more touchdowns than they've allowed, I think, which is ridiculous. Julian Edelman, 23.5. Deshaun Watson, 33.6. Dalvin Cook, 25.6. It's unbelievable. Blake's team, super top-heavy, and they're good enough to carry him, so that's discouraging. Saquon Barkley, monster week for him, and it just wasn't enough. So John outscored a lot of teams in the league, just like Matt did. He would have lost to the same people just adding Matt to it, but Blake, tough matchup, tough loss for John, but I don't think he should be too discouraged. So again, that does bring me to 5-1 on the week. I'm going to go ahead and make my picks, then we'll jump in and I'll talk about some things that are of interest as we get into these bye weeks, and just kind of keep moving through it. So we've got me versus Jonathan. I think this would be a great matchup to watch and keep up with. There's a lot of different things going on here. I am going to take myself over Jonathan, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. I'm going to take Logan's team over Dustin's. You can see the projections here are a pretty big difference. The bye weeks are going to crush Dustin, and we'll talk about that when we look at his team. Brandon versus Matt. Matt hasn't set his lineup yet, and we'll look at some things. The score will be higher. I am going to go with Brandon just because I think some of the matchups are really nice for him this week. Brandon and Thomas. Thomas's team is better than – or not Brandon. Thomas and Daniel. Thomas's team is better. I like Thomas in that one. Blake and Jeremy. I'm going to go with Blake. Jeremy hasn't set his lineup yet. His team will do better than this projection is now. But in the end, Blake's team is just monstrous. He'll take it even through the bye weeks. Cole and Clint. Clint's team's horrible. And I don't know if he's really paying attention to his lineup. So I'm going to go with Cole. So we got Cole over Clint. We got Blake over Jeremy. Thomas over Daniel. Brandon over Matt. Logan over Dustin, and then myself over Jonathan. So let's look at these matchups a little more closely and see what's going on. So the first thing that you want to look at in these like central weeks of the season are the byes. And so Joe Mixon being on bye is definitely going to hurt Jonathan a little bit. I am also taking a bit of a knock with Cooper Kupp on bye. I do think that eventually the Kenyon Drake trade will benefit me, but right now with the way Tevin Coleman's playing, I think it's foolish to think he's going to come in and see any substantial playing time in week 1 this time. Justin Tucker and Robbie Gould might switch those up, modest increase, if at all. But if you look, my main players, the biggest thing here is John's plugging in Ty Johnson to replace Joe Mixon. I'm plugging in DK Metcalf, who's been a touchdown machine for Cooper Kupp. So I think that I just have the better replacement player during the bye week. So I think that's what's going to get me the win. Looking here at Logan and Dustin's team. So when we come down to the bye, the Falcons are on bye. So Matt Ryan obviously didn't play. So not as big of a loss like as you would think. But for Dustin, you've got Julio Jones on bye. So that really is going to hurt him this week, as he's got to plug in somebody like Geronimo Allison, Sterling Shepard. Those are his like starting receivers. He's pretty good at running back, which is unfortunate because he's got Royce Freeman, who is definitely a better choice, but he just got nowhere to put him. So not really a whole lot of bye week losses for Logan. That Julio omission for Dustin is going to hurt, so that's why I took Logan in that matchup. If we're looking here at Brandon and Matt, so again, I think Brandon's team is just stronger. I do think Matt's team, the projection right here, this 85.2, that's going to go up. He's got Todd Gurley, who's on bye. That hurts, but He also hasn't plugged in his receivers that were on bye last week. So you've got Adam Thielen, obviously a great option. Jarvis Landry, obviously a great option. And Emmanuel Sanders. I really think the move to San Francisco is going to help him as well. Just because I think he fits that kind of dink and dunk offensive style that Jimmy G seems to do okay in. So I think that Courtland Sutton and John Brown probably make their way out of the lineup. Marlon Mack probably comes up here to replace Todd Gurley. And you see a lot better wide receivers for Matt's team, which will make him competitive. The reason that I did go with Brandon anyways is because right now he's got Jalen Samuels in, who's only projected for 7.5 points. But that's because James Conner, as of now, is not expected to play on Sunday. So that projection is actually probably low for Jalen Samuels. And if not, Brandon can just plug in James Conner whenever he feels like it. He also has Sony Michel on the bench, which I think is the right move. But he can plug him in. He's projected for a few more points if he decided to. But Devin Singletary's been strong, and it looks like he's going to see more of the ball. So in other words, I like Brandon's team, even though Matt's team will be better than this initial projection right here. Looking at Daniel and Thomas. So Daniel's got a kicker who is out. He doesn't have a kicker because his kicker's on bye. I do think that you can probably move on from Greg Olsen if you wanted to pick up a kicker for this week. I don't think Greg Olsen is going to get it done. I know he was strong earlier in the season. I picked him up in several of my leagues. I've been trying to hold on to him. I just don't think he's going to get it done. In addition, I would probably play Adrian Peterson over Curtis Samuel. I think that makes your team better. But, that's just my opinion. When we look at Thomas's team is going to get hurt a little bit by bye weeks. He's got Devonta Freeman, Calvin Ridley, AJ Green, who obviously is not back yet, but still, and Gerald Everett, who's been a modestly productive tight end. So a lot of positions out for Thomas this week. You can see he's got Dallas Goedert in here, Miles Sanders plugged in. I know he had a big week last week, but like I said, I don't think that that's like evidence of the norm or anything. Danny Amendola, wide receiver, that hurts me to see. Just a lot of positions out. I think it's a good thing that you're matched up against Daniel this week. I think you can still probably pull out a win. Looking at Blake and Jeremy. So Jeremy's team is another one of those, 71.5, but he hasn't moved his quarterback. And if we come down here, he does have Derek Carr. So we'll probably plug Derek Carr in there. So that's like 20 points right off the bat. He's got Austin Hooper here on bye and plenty of room to pick somebody up. I don't think Trey Burton is the right choice. I think you can probably get somebody better off the waiver wire. And Kerryon Johnson's not coming back. It's time to move on. He's not going to be your keeper next year. I would move on from him. The rest of the team is actually looking pretty good, but Thomas's team is really, really, really strong. Deshaun Watson, Dalvin Cook, or Blake, rather. Blake's team is really, really strong with Deshaun Watson, Dalvin Cook. Even if Jeremy's team plays really, really well, I think he's screwed. So I went with Blake in that one. Then we look at Cole and Clint. Both of these teams are in complete disarray. Cole is setting his team up, which inherently gives him an advantage. But when you look at Clint, his strongest players here, Michael Thomas, bye. That sucks. That's hard to overcome. So he does have Juju Smith-Schuster he can plug in, which is good. But otherwise, there's just not a lot of talent. So you can see why he maybe is discouraged by his team. So I went with Cole in this one. So that's it for this week. Tune in again next week. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, tell others to come tune in. If you want to, whatever they feel. But anyways, thanks for tuning in. A little shorter video, maybe get a little bit more of you guys to tune in, weigh in a little bit. If not, no sweat. I understand. Either way, getting closer to the end of the season. My record's pretty good. You guys are buying me dinner, and that's the thing that keeps me going on each week. So thanks again for tuning in. Good luck to you guys this week. You're going to need it.